The world isn't killing you. Your silence is. Every time you keep your mouth shut when you know you should speak, you're handing over your power. You're not being respectful. You're not being chill. You're betraying yourself. And the cost, your confidence, your influence, your manhood, gone. Silence isn't harmless. It's deadly. And it's destroying more men than failure ever could. Let's be real. Most men today are muted. Not by force, but by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of standing out. So you play it safe. You say what's expected. You nod, smile, and blend in. And then you wonder why nothing changes, why you feel stuck, overlooked, irrelevant. You're not falling behind because you're incapable. You're falling behind because you're silent. Every time you don't speak up, you bury a piece of your potential. This ends now. Because silence isn't just weakness. It's a slow suicide of the masculine soul. Let me call it out. You bite your tongue when your boss talks down to you. You smile when your girl disrespects you. You keep the peace instead of confronting the problem. You say nothing when your boundaries are violated. And deep down, you hate yourself for it. You feel invisible, powerless, small, because you've traded your voice for false comfort. And that trade is killing you. Step 1. Speak with conviction, not permission. Most men walk into a room already defeated, not because they're outmatched, not because they lack intelligence, talent, or ability, but because before they even open their mouths, they're already filtering what they want to say through one deadly question. Will they like me if I say this? That's weakness. That's cowardice, wrapped in politeness, and it's destroying you. You speak like you're asking for permission, like you need a round of applause before you say what's really on your mind. You water down your thoughts so they're easier to swallow. You throw in useless disclaimers. I could be wrong, but you smile when you disagree. And guess what? Nobody respects that man. Not your co-workers, not your girl, not your audience. Because if you don't respect your own voice, why the hell should they? Here's the truth. If you have to ask for approval before you speak, you've already lost. Men weren't built to beg. We were built to command. You want to change your life? Start with this. Speak with conviction, not permission. And here's how. 1. Kill the apology language. No more weak intros like, sorry if this sounds harsh. I don't want to offend anyone, but just my opinion. Stop. Your opinion doesn't need a pre-apology. Your truth doesn't need padding. State it, stand on it, walk away. Start practicing saying what you think, clearly, directly, with zero fluff. Example, instead of maybe we should think about doing it another way, say this approach won't work. Here's what I suggest. Direct, firm, masculine. 2. Train your voice like a weapon. Your tone reveals everything. You could say the exact right words, but if your voice is shaky, hesitant, or too damn quiet, no one listens. So build your vocal confidence. Daily ritual. Record yourself speaking for 5 minutes a day. Pick a topic and speak as if your life depends on it. Then play it back. Listen for weak inflection, soft endings, and filler words. Are you projecting or whispering? Are you trailing off or landing your sentences with power? This isn't about sounding like a motivational speaker. It's about sounding like a man who believes every damn word he says. 3. Put yourself in the fire. Stop avoiding conversations that challenge you. You get stronger by entering the arena, not hiding in the shadows. Join a debate group. Start a podcast. Attend meetups where you're forced to speak, share, and argue. Every time you avoid speaking up, your fear grows. Every time you face it, your voice gets sharper, your thoughts get clearer, and your self-respect climbs. Discomfort is your training ground. Speak even when your voice shakes, because it will. But if you keep showing up, one day it won't. 4. Burn the approval mindset. You need to understand this deeply. Your voice is not a suggestion. It's a weapon, a command, a reflection of the man you are inside. If your goal is to be liked, you will always compromise who you are. But if your goal is to speak truthfully, then your words will carry weight. Even your enemies will respect you, because truth is rare. And real men are even rarer. Stop speaking to fit in. Start speaking to stand out. You've been silent too long. Or worse, you've been speaking like a neutered version of yourself. Filtered, diluted, and safe. But safe men don't get remembered. They get forgotten. Speak with conviction. Say what you mean. Say it with your chest. Because when you speak like a man with nothing to prove and no one to please, that's when people finally start to listen. Step 2. Stop nodding when you disagree. You've done it more times than you'd like to admit. You're in a conversation. Someone says something you disagree with, something you know is off, weak, wrong, or disrespectful. And what do? You nod, you smile, you stay silent. Why? Because you're avoiding tension, because you don't want to be that guy, because you're afraid that speaking your truth might ruffle feathers. But here's the reality. Every time you fake agreement just to keep the peace, you lose a piece of yourself. You don't just lie to them, you lie to you. And that lie, it builds, it grows, it infects your confidence, your clarity, and your masculinity. That fake nod may seem harmless, but it chips away at your spine, one cowardly agreement at a time. Let me be direct. A man who agrees with everything stands for nothing. He's invisible, forgettable, replaceable, and in the real world, that kind of man gets ignored, walked over, and ultimately resented. So what's the solution? You stop nodding when you disagree. You learn how to say what you actually think, even when it's uncomfortable. You develop the courage to hold your ground when everyone else folds. Here's how to do it. 1. Catch yourself nodding out of habit. This is your first line of defense. You've trained yourself to agree as a reflex. But it's automatic. You nod to keep conversations smooth, but you can't fix what you don't see. So starting now, become hyper-aware of your reactions. Every time someone says something and you feel that instinctual nod coming, pause. Ask yourself, do I actually agree with this? Or am I just avoiding discomfort? Or am I just avoiding D? If it's not genuine, stop yourself, breathe, and instead of defaulting to agreement, say what's real. 2. Use direct, calm phrases that command respect. Disagreement doesn't mean aggression. You don't need to shout, argue, or throw punches. Real power lies in calm clarity. Here are go-to phrases that let you speak truth without drama. That's not how I see it. I disagree. I hear you, but here's my perspective. Let's look at this from a different angle. These statements don't seek permission. They assert presence. They say, I exist. My voice matters. I'm not afraid of disagreement. You're not trying to win the argument. You're trying to win back your voice. 3. Build tolerance for tension. Let me tell you something most men will never hear. Tension is not your enemy. It's your training ground. The discomfort you feel when you challenge someone. That's your nervous system leveling up. That's your masculinity sharpening itself under pressure. Start small. Disagree on opinions. Challenge casual comments. Speak up in meetings. Every time you embrace the tension instead of avoiding it, you build grit. You don't grow by avoiding friction. You grow by walking through it. Eyes forward, shoulders back. Because silence in conflict, that breeds regret. And regret is far heavier than any uncomfortable conversation. 4. Understand. This calm disagreement builds dominance. Weak men think dominance comes from yelling. Real men know it comes from certainty, from the ability to look another man in the eyes and say, no, that's not how I see it, without flinching, without apologizing, without backing down. You want to be respected. You want to walk into a room and be felt without saying a word. Then speak the truth when it matters, even if it costs you approval, even if it creates tension, even if it gets uncomfortable. You weren't put on this earth to be agreeable. You were made to be real, and real men don't nod when they don't mean it. So the next time someone says something you know is wrong, don't nod, don't smile, don't stay silent. Speak, stand, own it. That's how masculinity is built. That's how leadership is forged. And that's how you stop being invisible and start being undeniable. Step 3. Own your decisions publicly. Let's cut the bullshit. You say you've got goals, fitness goals, money goals, business plans, life changes, but you don't tell anyone. You keep it quiet. Why? Because deep down you're afraid you'll fail. And if nobody knows, nobody can judge you. That's not humility. That's not strategy. That's cowardice, dressed up in a fake robe of modesty. You're hiding behind silence so you don't have to be accountable. So when you skip leg day, when you don't make the call, when you quit the plan, no one's watching, no shame, no pressure, just another quiet retreat into mediocrity. And here's what you don't realize, that silence is keeping you weak, because when no one knows what you stand for, no one expects anything from you, including you. You want to grow, you want to transform, then you need to speak your decisions out loud. Here's why. Public commitment creates private discipline. The moment you say it out loud, I'm losing 20 pounds, I'm starting my business by the end of the year, I'm quitting porn for good. You raise the stakes, now people are watching. Now your words mean something, now your comfort zone starts to burn. And that's where men grow, in the fire, not in the shadows. So here's what you do. 1. Start telling people your intentions. No more quiet goals. No more secret plans. No more I'm just keeping it to myself nonsense. Tell your brother. Tell your girl. Post it online. Say it to your mirror if that's where it starts. But stop keeping your mission in the basement of your mind. Put it in the open where it belongs. Because when you speak it, you own it. And when you own it, you become accountable to it. 2. Use accountability as fuel, not fear. Here's the truth. Most men avoid accountability because they don't trust themselves. They don't want pressure because they know they'll fold under it. But a man invites pressure. He knows that the eyes on him don't create weakness. They create urgency. Let people know what you're working on. Let them watch. Let them doubt you. Let them challenge you. Because that pressure will sharpen your focus like nothing else. When you know someone's going to ask, how's that goal coming? You show up. When you realize your word is now public, you stop breaking it so easily. And if you fail, own that too. Because men don't hide from failure. They learn from it, rebuild, and come back louder. 3. Eliminate the backdoor escape plan. Right now you've got an exit plan. You set goals quietly, because if you fall off, no one knows. You can fail in peace. Right, wrong. That back door is what's keeping you average. Close the escape route, burn the bridge. Say it loud, then do it. I'm running that marathon in 6 months. I'm hitting the gym 5 days a week. I'm making my first $10K from my side hustle. Declare it. Then build your discipline around that declaration. The man who speaks his intentions and backs them with action, he becomes unstoppable, because his identity becomes tied to his execution. Your word is your weapon. In a world full of flaky talkers and silent pretenders, your word becomes your edge. Not just spoken, but followed through. Not just ambition, but execution in public view. When you commit out loud, you become a man who means what he says. A man others look to. A man others respect. Even when he stumbles, because they know he's not hiding, he's out in the open, and that's where real men operate. Stop playing small. Stop whispering your dreams into the void, hoping no one hears you. Say it loud, then do it louder, because every silent goal is another easy way out, and you've taken enough of those. It's time to step into the light. Own your decision. Say it to the world, then go make it real, like a man. Step 4. Speak up in relationships or stay miserable. Let's talk about where most men completely lose their power. Their relationships. Not at work, not at the gym, not in business, right at home, with their girl, their partner. The one place they're supposed to lead. They fold. Why? Because they stay silent. They let things slide. They swallow disrespect. They ignore their needs. They choose peace over honesty, and end up in silent resentment. And by the time they finally speak, it's too late. The respect is gone. The attraction is dead. The relationship is just two people walking on eggshells, pretending everything's fine until it explodes. Here's the truth. Your silence is killing your relationships. If you think being quiet makes you a good guy, If you think letting her walk all over your boundaries makes you easy to love, you're not being strong, you're being spineless. Because silence in a relationship doesn't keep the peace, it erodes it. When you say nothing, you teach her one thing: you can get away with anything, you can get away with anything. And when she loses respect, she loses attraction. And when she loses attraction, that's when the relationship starts to rot from the inside out. You want a strong, passionate, lasting relationship. You have to lead with courageous honesty. You have to speak, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Let's break this down. 1. Address disrespect immediately. Disrespect doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A snide comment, a backhanded insult in front of friends, an eye roll, a boundary crossed for the 5th time. Most men let it slide. They laugh it off. They bottle it up. They say nothing until it happens again and again and again. Stop that. The moment you feel disrespected, call it out, calmly, firmly, instantly, not with rage, not with a tantrum, with controlled clarity. Don't speak to me like that again. That was out of line. We need to talk about that. If this keeps happening, we're going to have a problem. You set the tone, you establish the line, and she will either rise to meet your standard or reveal she never respected it in the first place. 2. Set boundaries early or regret it later. Here's what you need to understand. What you tolerate now becomes your relationship's blueprint. If you let her interrupt your goals, if you allow emotional manipulation, if you tolerate chaos, disrespect, laziness, that's what the relationship becomes. Not because she's evil, but because you trained her that you won't speak up. Boundaries aren't ultimatums. They're standards. They're the lines that protect the relationship from turning into a disaster. You don't wait for the explosion, you prevent it by speaking early. My time matters. I won't cancel workouts for drama. I'm building something. I need support, not sabotage. If we have an issue, we talk about it, not throw silent treatment. That's leadership. That's strength. That's masculine clarity. 3. Daily check-ins. Lead with direct communication. Here's a habit most men overlook. Checking in daily. Not just how was your day, but real, honest conversations. What's working between us right now? Is there anything bothering you? Here's something I need to talk about. You bring the truth to the table before it becomes a fight. You create space where honesty is normal, not some once-a-year drama fest. Because the strongest relationships aren't built on perfect behavior. They're built on consistent truth. And truth only shows up when you're bold enough to speak it. Leadership in love requires courageous honesty. You want to lead? Then stop being passive. Stop hoping she reads your mind. Stop assuming your silence is noble. It's not. It's weak. It's destructive. And it's costing you the very connection you crave. Real masculine leadership means speaking first. It means addressing what's broken without waiting for a breakdown. It means creating a relationship built on respect and truth, not fear and silence. Say what needs to be said, even if it shakes the ground, even if it sparks conflict, even if it makes things messy, because the only thing worse than the discomfort of honesty is the quiet misery of a relationship where you're not even seen. Speak up, lead, or stay miserable. Your choice. Step 5. Start saying no without explanation. Let's make this simple. If you can't say no, you're not in control of your life. You're a passenger, a people pleaser, a man being dragged in every direction except the one he actually wants to go. And the worst part, you know it. You say yes to plans you don't want. You nod along with people you don't respect. You take on obligations that drain you dry just so no one gets upset. And every time you do, a little part of you dies. Not because you're busy, not because you're generous, but because you abandoned yourself again. Here's the hard truth. Every yes you give out of fear or guilt is a betrayal of your mission. You think you're being kind. You think you're being polite, but you're just being passive. You're giving your time, your energy, your attention to things that don't serve you. And you're doing it because you're scared of what people will think if you say no. That ends now. Say no with finality. Stop softening it. Stop wrapping your no in fluff. No more sugarcoating. No more long-winded justifications. No is a complete sentence. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. I won't be doing that. Done. No extra details. No nervous chuckles. No room for negotiation. Because every time you soften your no, you weaken your spine. Let's be clear. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your time, your energy, or your focus. You are not responsible for managing other people's disappointment. You are responsible for protecting your path. And the more direct your no, the stronger your yes becomes when it actually matters. Practice minimal responses. When you're not used to saying no, you'll feel the urge to fill the silence. Resist it. Let the silence sit. Silence is strength. Try these. That's not a priority for me right now. I'm focusing on something else. No, but thanks for thinking of me. That's it. No follow-up. No nervous laughing. No over-explaining. Because over-explaining signals weakness. It tells people you're uncertain, that you're open to being persuaded. And worst of all, it makes your no sound negotiable. Don't negotiate your priorities. Declare them. Audit your week. Where are you saying yes? Out of guilt or fear? Look at your calendar. Look at your texts. Look at your to-do list. How many things are on there? Because you were afraid to say no. How many hours of your life are being stolen by people you don't want to disappoint? Here's your mission. Audit your week. Circle every yes that came from guilt, not alignment. And next week, cut it. Replace it with space. Replace it with focus. Replace it with action toward the man you want to become. Because men who are always available are never respected, and men who never protect their time never achieve anything worth protecting. Boundaries built through silence are weakness. Let's get one thing clear. Passive boundaries are fake boundaries. You think avoiding a conversation is strength. You think dodging a request without clarity is power. That's weakness in disguise. If your boundary isn't spoken, it doesn't exist. And if your no isn't clear, it'll be walked over. You don't build respect by hiding from confrontation. You build it by meeting it head-on with calm certainty. Say what you mean what you say. Don't flinch, don't fold, don't fear their reaction. Because a man who says no with strength, that man commands space. He controls his time. He earns respect without raising his voice. You're not here to live by other people's agendas. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to build something real. A body, a business, a life that matters. That won't happen if your default response is yes. That won't happen if you're scared to draw a line. That won't happen if your no is always followed by an apology. So here's your new standard. Say no, say it directly, say it without fear. Then move forward like a man with a mission, because if you don't take control of your life, someone else will. Step 6. Use your voice to lead, not blend in. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men need to hear. If your voice disappears when others are watching, you're not leading, you're hiding. You walk into a room, you shrink. You sit in a meeting, you nod along. You join a group, and suddenly you forget how to speak your mind. You let louder voices take over. You let indecisive men steer the direction. You stay quiet, thinking, at least I won't say the wrong thing. Wrong. You're already saying the wrong thing by saying nothing at all. Let's be clear. Men who blend in get buried in noise, in mediocrity, in lives they never chose, built by decisions they never made, spoken by voices that weren't theirs. You think silence keeps you safe. Silence keeps you invisible, and invisible men never lead. Leadership doesn't start when someone hands you a title. It starts the moment you decide to speak, when it's uncomfortable, to speak when it's easier to stay quiet, to speak when everyone else is pretending to agree. That's where real men are made. Start conversations first. Don't wait to be spoken to. You want to stand out. Then start acting like the one who belongs. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait to be noticed. Own the room by opening the conversation. In a social setting, walk up and speak. In a meeting, be the first to set the tone. In any room you walk into, make your presence known with your voice. Try this. What's your take on this? Let's get right into it. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's my angle. even if it's not the popular one. You don't need to dominate, but you damn sure need to engage. Because silence doesn't build influence, it erases it. Speak a clear opinion. Even if it's unpopular, most men get stuck right here. They're afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of not fitting in. So what do? They water down their thoughts. They speak in half sentences. They say things like, "I kind of agree," or "maybe, but I'm not sure." You know what that tells the room? This man can't lead. If your opinion scares you, that's the one you need to say, not to provoke, not to be a contrarian, but because leadership requires clarity, and clarity requires courage. You don't have to be loud, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be solid. Say what you believe, without apology, without softening, and without looking around to see if it's okay. Because when a man speaks truth with composure, people follow. Focus on clarity, not perfection. Here's where most guys mess this up. They think they need to speak perfectly. They overthink every word. They rehearse imaginary conversations in their heads, and by the time they're ready to talk, the moment's gone. Stop trying to sound impressive. Start sounding clear. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need a TED Talk voice. You just need to speak with conviction. Here's what conviction sounds like. Here's my take. I disagree, and here's why. This is what I believe needs to happen. No stuttering, no filler words, no rising tone like you're unsure, just firm, focused, and unshakable. Real men aren't afraid to be polarizing. You're not here to be everyone's friend. You're not here to get applause. You're here to lead, and leadership requires polarization. Some people will disagree with you. Some will dislike your confidence. Some will feel threatened by your clarity. Good. That means you're standing for something. That means your voice has weight. A man who tries to please everyone, he ends up respected by no one. But a man who speaks his truth, even when it's inconvenient, that man becomes impossible to ignore. Because we don't follow men who whisper. We follow the man who walks in, speaks up, and owns his message. If you want to lead, start leading with your voice, not with silence, not with passive agreement, not with nervous head nods and empty phrases. Say what you mean. Say it clearly. Say it even if it shakes the room. Because if you won't speak it, someone else will, and that someone will decide how the world moves. While you sit in the back, watching it pass you by, don't blend in. Speak to lead. Let's end with truth. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, you lose a piece of yourself. You lose respect. You lose connection. You lose opportunity. You lose the life you could have built if you just had the balls to say what needed to be said. Silence won't protect you. It will erase you. You think you're avoiding conflict. No, you're inviting regret. Because if you don't speak your truth, you'll spend your life living a lie, and that lie will cost you your purpose, your power, and your peace. Silence is the slow death of your potential. From this moment on, you don't stay silent. You speak up. You stand tall. You say what needs to be said, even if your voice shakes. That's how men lead. That's how men win. That's how you take your life back. So if you're ready to reclaim your voice, own your power, and never shrink again, hit like, smash that subscribe button, and drop a comment right now saying no more silence. This channel is for men who refuse to be invisible. Your voice is your weapon. Use it or lose it. Let's get to work.